So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name is Baron Grant and I'm excited to have you with me for another day of tips and tricks and ideas of how you can lose all the weight that you want and keep it off for the rest of your life. It's what we're all about, and as always, this episode is brought to you by Ditching the Diet, where you can go and head to ditchingthediet.com and you can download my new book. You can get access to a bunch of other things. There's programs. I can even personally coach you and help you on your weight loss journey. So all of those things are available so that we can help you really transform your life and make all the changes you want to get to where you want to be. So that's the opportunity you have. So jump on ditchingthediet.com and you can get started with your journey. Now today, I have to refer back to yesterday's podcast, which was, I guess, the takeaway version, part one. And after I left that, I thought, I don't think I provided much options of maybe good things that you can go away with from a takeaway perspective. Because sometimes we're out and about and life happens, right? So we can't always have the perfect meal prepared. And so I'm not totally against getting takeaway or anything like that. I'm all about making the best choices that you can. Now remember, this podcast is about weight loss. So I'm going to continue on that frame, which is looking at, from a takeaway perspective, how can you still be losing weight if you have to get some takeaway occasionally? It's about making the best choices in the situation that you find yourself in. As my mate says to me, it's a good of a bad. You've got to make the best decision in a bad situation. So good of a bad. And that's what I want you to think about today as we go through a few different options that are helpful for when you're out and about and you've got to grab something. So a little while ago, a mate of mine said to me, Baron, you need to build a list of all the things that we can eat at, McDonald's or KFC or Red Rooster or anything like that, while we're out and about, we can just grab something on the run. And I thought about that, and maybe one time I will sit down and write a whole list. But today I just want to give you a few tips, things that might be helpful. Because I think there's a few misconceptions when it comes to eating takeaway, that you think you're doing better at stuff, but maybe you're not. So just to call those out first, wraps versus rolls. So if you go to a takeaway store and you're like, man, I'm having a wrap, I am healthy. Really, it doesn't make any difference. The difference in nutritional value or calorie content between a wrap and a roll is super negligible. The only difference is the yeast that obviously is in the actual roll. Now, we're not going to talk about that today, but that can contribute to some other challenges in your gut. But we'll talk about that another time when we talk about gluten. But what I want to say is that things like wraps are not going to make you lose weight because you're eating wraps as opposed to a burger, because they contain very similar amounts of calories and they're both carbohydrates. So it's not going to be super helpful to go for one over the other. So that's one misconception. Also, the Diet Coke versus the full strength Coke. So at least with the full strength Coke that's packed full of sugar, you know what it is. The Diet Coke or the Coke Zero, those type of things, you actually don't know what's in it. Or you can't read the ingredients. It's like when you go and read margarine versus butter. There's so many ingredients in the margarine, you wouldn't even know what half of them are. And that's what's in a lot of those diet or sugar-free type drinks. So be really careful of those. Now, good stuff. What can you eat, Baron? Stop it, Baron. What can you eat? Well, here's what I'd say. If you're trying to lose weight, you can't be eating bread. Now, you might say, but Baron, I love bread. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you love. If you eat loads of bread, you're going to gain weight. That's the way that it is. Now, and don't think sourdough's any better, because it's not. You can't be eating sourdough bread and think that's going to help. Bread is a no-go zone if you want to lose weight. So when you go into these places like your generic takeaway places, you've got to think, right, what can I have that doesn't have bread? That's like the first decision that you have to make. Otherwise, you're going to make a decision to consume a large amount of calories. So what is there at Red Rooster that doesn't have bread? Well, they have a beautiful coleslaw. So that's one example of something that you could get. And you can get a chicken there that not covered in all the extra stuff. So they're really good options if you're at Red Rooster. KFC doesn't have as many options. I don't think I'll have to redo the menu. But McDonald's, they have some things that are not in wraps and not in rolls as well. And they're things like they have their salads. Now, their salads don't contain a lot of stuff. A lot of the time, it's just some lettuce and a couple of cucumbers and a couple of tomatoes. That's not their speciality, obviously. Burgers are. So that's probably not your best option. But there is a healthy option there. But think, can't be in a bun, can't be in a wrap. And that really narrows down your choices. There's things like sumo salad, or I mentioned yesterday a Porto. Porto is a great option, not for the burgers, not for the chips and stuff, but for the actual chicken salad. They have 2 or 3 different salad options there that are all pretty good. Some are a little higher in calories, but they're pretty good. So I would go to them as a staple. They're a great one. Things like sumo salad are awesome, but they also have a lot of pasta dishes and rice dishes as well. So that's not something that you're after. If you're trying to lose weight, we're trying to reduce calories, we're not trying to count calories, so therefore you can't eat some certain foods. So things like your breads and your rices and your pastas, they're just not your friend. High carb, high calorie, you use up all your calories in one meal. So you can't be going down to sumo salad and picking the one that's pasta and rice and then walking away going, man, I'm super healthy. Because I'm going to be losing weight left, right, and center. You won't. And so you're just kidding yourself. So sumo salad's okay, but you pick the stuff that's more lean. Move away from the carbohydrate stuff, right? That's your options. And then when we look at, a Porto, that's my go-to because I just love the taste of their salads. I'm a bit of a fanboy. So those guys are a really good one to go. The one that I think is pretty funny is Subway. So Subway is great, and it's not as well. It's interesting on The Biggest Loser, if you've ever watched it, the American Biggest Loser. They're funny because they always come in there, they have an ad for Subway because they're doing product placement, right? And they say, look, if you're ever in a situation where you can't get something, Subway's great. And then they show a video of these guys smashing down a foot-long Subway. And then you're like, hang on, that doesn't quite work. You're talking over, if you go to Subway, and that healthier option, yes. But as soon as you add the bread into it, it doesn't become a great option anymore. So from a weight loss perspective, if you just want to stay the same weight, it's probably a better option than somewhere else, but only marginally. Like if you have a foot-long meatball, you're talking over 900 calories in the foot-long meatball. Massive, right? That's because about 500 of those calories, almost 500, would be in the roll itself. And there's less or more calories depending on the choice of roll that you choose, but the roll makes up a huge proportion of those calories. So if you're going to Subway, don't look at the big foot long and go, yeah, I can have that and I'm going to lose weight. No way, it's massive. Remember yesterday I spoke about, the Big Mac meal at McDonald's is 1,100 or so calories. Well, it's going to be similar if you're at Subway. So we have to change the narrative that I'm getting a salad roll that's really healthy. It's not going to help you lose weight. Healthy, yes. Good for weight loss, no, because of the large amount of calories, particularly in the roll. And remember, the wraps aren't much better. You've got to get out of the wraps and out of the rolls. So that's a bit of Subway. They have great salads at Subway. They're a bit funny because they're cut up like they're going onto a sandwich and it comes in a salad, but they taste great. So their salad options are a super option. If you are like, no, but Baron, I want to have the bread, then you've got to reduce the size. You've got to go to the 6-inch when you want the foot long, right? So you've got to have a smaller portion if you want to go down that path. But breads are not going to allow you to lose weight, really, not very well at all. Now, if you want to wash that down with a drink, what's the drink you should get? It's water. Water. That's it. You've got to make sure that it's water. Don't look at any other stuff. Packed full of sugar. No good at all. Now, if you want to have the chocolate chip cookie, you're talking over 200 calories in one cookie, right? And remember how we spoke about your basal metabolic rate on the previous episodes? If you haven't, go back and listen. But on those previous episodes, I spoke about, your BMR might be 1,500 or 1,600, which is the number of calories your body needs every day. But to lose weight, you've got to eat significantly below that. So even call it 1,000, 1,100, 1,200 is where you'll play. If you eat one of those cookies, you're eating potentially a quarter of your daily intake for the day. That's enormous just in one cookie, right? So make the right choices and you'll lose the weight. So when we look at Subway, if you're going to go Subway, that's all right. But if you're wanting to lose weight, get rid of the roll, get rid of the wrap, have the salad. If you're wanting to stay the same weight, then have a 6-inch. If you're wanting to gain weight, then bang on that foot long. So they're the options really to choose from. So there are lots of options that you can have, but you've got to pick the eyes out of it. Get out of the wraps, get out of the rolls is a great place to start, and start eating the stuff that's inside it, because that stuff is much, much better. Now, the other option I wanted to say is there may not be your chosen or liked takeaway available, but you know what's always around, and that's Coles. Coles, Woolies, they're always around everywhere. And so you can go in there, and I mentioned yesterday around getting a cooked chook and a salad, but it doesn't even need to be that. There are things that you can take with you on your journey. If you're a tradie, you're better to have, your little esky full of food from home rather than stopping at the servo on the way to work and grabbing a snag roll or a bag of chips or whatever it is. A friend of mine used to have every morning a strawberry milk with a twirl, and he would bite each end of the twirl and suck the strawberry milk through the twirl and then eat the twirl. That was his breakfast. Maybe wash it down with a donut. So you can get caught out if you're a tradie or if you're out on the road. The servo's there, it's ready food. You don't have to prepare it, and bang, it's there. So a bit of preparation is helpful. But if you are out and about, hit Coles, hit Woolies. You can grab some tuna, have some cutlery sitting in your car. Tuna is the greatest thing on earth. Like, it is lean and clean, and it will fill you up because it's full of protein. You can get all the different flavors of tuna. Find one that you like. Don't just say, I don't like tuna, it tastes like crap. Find one that you can eat, one that you like. It doesn't even need to be that. There's little bags of pre-made or cut up chicken that you can get. That's just, it's effectively like chicken breast. It's got some breast and stuff, and it's might have some extra bits in it, but to stick it all together. But that's better than eating, sandwiches and things like that. So you can get little bags of chicken that's in the fridge section. You can get a bunch of different different salad options that are available. There's coleslaw options, there's other options. All those things are pre-made, ready to take off the shelf. Once again, don't take the pasta options. So that's good takeaway. It might not be from a takeaway store, but it's good takeaway. And from a drink perspective, we want to move away from, soft drinks and chocolate milks and even fruit juices. And there's some vegetable juice options that are really tasty now that you can get from Coles as well. You can literally just take it out of the fridge. So grab one of those as an option as well that you can take away. So there's some little tips and tricks and some options that you can grab. I guess the main message is get out of the wraps, get out of the rolls, because those things, whether it's wraps or rolls, generally that's not helping you. The breads are an absolute killer. And like I said, we'll talk about gluten and stuff in another episode to help get a bit more understanding of that as well. But hopefully you've got a little bit that you can go away and go, I won't do that next time. I'll go somewhere else, or I'll go to Coles, or I'll go to Woolies and get something that's clean and lean. Takeaway is okay, but you've got to make the right choices. There's always a good choice. It might not be sexy. It might not be the most tastiest, full of sugar thing that everyone else is eating, but do you want to be healthy, or do you want to eat what everyone else is eating? Do you want to feel comfortable in yourself, or do you want to eat what everyone else is eating? Do you want to change your habits, or do you want to look like everybody else who's overweight and not feeling great? That's the question we have to ask ourselves when we're making these decisions and these changes in our lives. You can make these changes little bit by little bit. You'll improve and be able to feel better about yourself and where you're at. But takeaway is a good place to start. Make the best choice in the takeaway. Oh, one more thing. If you're going to go eat fish and chips, that's not terrible. Remove the chips, have a salad, and get a grilled fish instead. Some of my favorite fish in the world is from the local fish and chip shop around here, just up the road, and it's just a grilled flake. It's awesome. No batter, it tastes magnificent, bit of lemon on top if you want, and have it with a salad. Absolutely winning. So choose the right thing, a good of a bad, make the right decision. You got this. We'll chat again tomorrow. Talk soon.